it looks like these conversations are about to get underway. Is this really go time? And what are Russia and Ukraine bringing to the table at this point?
Well, I think it is. I think the fact that President Putin went ahead and made that call with President Trump now, that is kind of kicking things off. What President Trump has been doing until now is indicating that he expects Putin to end the war. So he's holding Putin accountable for that. And he's trying to create a pathway for a solution so that the war ends and doesn't come back. I think there are three elements that are consistent with what we're hearing from President Trump. That is the idea of a ceasefire, so stopping the fighting right now. Second, deterring any future Russian aggression so that there's a permanent peace. And third, shifting the burden for securing Ukraine in the future more to the Europeans, not leaving the U.S. out entirely, but shifting the burden more towards Europe. And I think that's what we're going to see. And he's named this team of people to get started on this, and I think they will get started right away. In fact, Rubio will be at the Munich Security Conference later this week, and I think we'll have conversations about it right there.
Ambassador, it's great to have you back with us on Bloomberg. We heard from the new defense secretary earlier today, who, with his comments, might make you wonder about what kind of leverage Ukraine has at this negotiating table. He called it unrealistic to get NATO membership, which was, of course, a major goal of Volodymyr Zelensky, or returning to pre-2014 borders. You know a lot about this. How unrealistic are those goals?
Well, I think we have to really listen carefully to what he said. It was a prepared statement. And about NATO membership, he said not realistic to get that in the course of negotiations, which means that Russia's not going to agree to that. And I don't think we should even be talking about that with Russia. It's not proper to have NATO membership the subject of negotiations with Russia. That's something for Ukraine and NATO allies to figure out later. So it's not on the table right now, and it's not something that we should be talking to Russia about. As for U.S. troops, he said there'd be no U.S. ground troops, but he did not rule out support for European troops that would be there. So enabling support over the horizon presence. So I think we have to wait and see how this really lays out and what kind of security assurances for Ukraine are actually agreed. It's a delicate thing to try to get Putin to stop the war, doing so by showing that there's enough force on the table that he has to, and at the same time doing it in a way that prevents us having to actually go to war. You want to end it, and then you want to deter the next war. That's the delicate balance.
Well, certainly delicate seems like the proper description here, Ambassador, as we consider that Russia is going to want to get something from these negotiations. Surely, how much is too much in terms of what the give and take will be here that could leave the door open to Vladimir Putin thinking that he can kind of make these territorial claims in the future?
Yeah. What Putin really wants, and he's been very explicit about it, is to eliminate Ukraine as a sovereign, independent country and eliminate the idea of a Ukrainian national identity. He sees them all as Russians or that he should have control over. Him giving up on that and accepting that Ukraine exists, that is a very, very big deal. And I don't think Ukraine is going to agree that Russia owns Ukrainian territory, has successfully seized it. But I think Zelensky will agree that he's not going to be able to take it back militarily. That this is going to be a long-term dispute, more like what we saw with East and West Germany for 40 years.